Okay, so for my website, auctionhints.wordpress.com, I made the site based on a bad experience that I had with Primetime Auctions. I don't ever do this. When I give reviews, I always give positive reviews. I've had nothing but positive experiences with other companies. I have 4 YouTube channels, one of them dedicated exclusively to reviews, and then a couple of them I've given reviews on different products because they relate to the topic. But with Primetime, I had to give a completely new account to the issue that I'm facing with them. I bought cars from them on April 12th, 2014. I flew out here from Maine and I came out for the auction and I bought 3 cars actually. I bought a Volvo, I bought a Ford F-250, and I bought a Cadillac Seville. I still have the Cadillac, love the Cadillac. It had some problems. I mean, it had a coolant problem with the AC, which I'm working on, but, you know, it wasn't perfect, whatever. I put brakes and tires on it. They were all wore out, but, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Well, with the truck and the car, they were in pretty bad shape. I knew that kind of when I bought them. You know, the truck was all dented up. It's got 200,000 miles on it, you know, whatever. I mean, it was pretty obviously, you know, a used vehicle, a well-used vehicle. Had a radiator leak. I could see some leakage when I was at the auction before I bought it. So, you know, I changed the radiator out and it had some knocking, and I did some research. I got a code reader, and in fact, it's one of those code readers that have the data saved on it. So it has a little USB cord and you can download the data. So I have the dates and all the information saved from when I had this truck of what was going on with it according to the engine computer. It didn't say anything about a bad engine or anything, but it did give us some notifications of some sensors, and one of those codes led us to the injector on the 8-cylinder. We weren't sure which cylinder, but we've narrowed it down, and it's the 8-cylinder. It's very common, something we found on YouTube. You can go look it up. I think it's like P1388, if I remember correct. I can't remember the code exactly, but I'll post all that data. I'm going to download it off the code reader, and I'll post it. Anyway, so what happened was I brought it back and I'm like, what, do I get a refund on this, or what do I do to get rid of these? I can't have them. I've got injuries that won't even allow me to work on them. I've got a broken shoulder from last May when I got in a car accident. They did a rotator cuff repair and my humerus was fractured, and I have titanium all up and down my legs. So typically I could fix a car like that. You know, it's just an injector. It's, you know, maybe a $40 to $80 part. At the junkyard, replace it, it's good to go, the knocking stops. I mean, it drives and runs just fine, you know, there's no other problems. And we replaced the radiator so it doesn't leak fluid anymore, like it did when I bought it. But I just didn't have the wherewithal to fix it anymore, and they said that we can't give you a refund. The problem is that the sellers have already been paid. Once the sellers have been paid, the deal's complete. And he reaffirmed that in this email that I'm going to show you here in a minute, the owner of the place. And so I put them back through the auction. I had no other choice, and I had to go to Maine. So it was like the 17th of May or something. I dropped the cars back off. I'd been talking to him for about a week on the phone about it. But I dropped the cars off at the auction before I left for Maine. And then we went to Disney World and then came back. And I got back in time for the next auction on June 14th. Well, I saw that my 2 cars had sold. My Volvo and my Ford sold. So I bought 2 new cars. I bought a Chevy Tahoe and I bought a Dodge Lindy. And I couldn't take them right away. I had to come back after the seller had paid because they were going to give me credit for the vehicles that I sold towards the vehicles that I bought. So I came back at 4 after leaving the auction at about 1, and the truck had been paid. The seller paid about $5,100. My settlement was like 47 something on that. And they applied that credit to my bill. I can show you that right here. See, on June 14th, that's the date of the auction, that's the date this was settled. They made the payment on that day. It says, please take payment out of consignor proceeds, 6/14. This is for the Chevy Tahoe and for the Dodge motorhome. You see the prices, whatever. Okay, and then right here you can see credit applied using consignor proceeds for lot 630 on consignor 1311. I got out of the $5,100, I got $4,794 because they took their seller's fees. They take like 6% or something like that. So I took that thinking that this is paid in full. and that I had owed nothing left. Well, actually, what happened was the Volvo hadn't been paid yet. The Volvo got paid on Tuesday, so several days later, the Volvo got paid, and they called me and notified me that it had been paid. But in order to take the cars on the 14th, you can't take the cars off the lot until you've paid. So I gave them a check for $2,036.02 because the Volvo hadn't been paid yet. But the credit was applied from the sale of the Ford pickup, which was consignor, or which was lot 630. I was consignor 1311, apparently. Oh, I don't know why it says 6/16/2014. Maybe that's when it was applied. It was on after the payment was cleared. So the date of the auction was the 14th. The payment cleared on Monday for the Ford, and then the other payment for the Volvo cleared on a Tuesday, which was like the next day. So I had a remaining invoice balance of $0. It was paid in full. So he says right here, I'm going to show you where he says that the deal is done after the seller has been paid. Well, I've been paid. This shows right here. I had been paid. Where does he say that? Oh, he says, all right, let's see here. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. Oh yeah, here he says right here. Once the seller is paid, the deal is complete. You bought the cars and paid and the seller was paid. This instance, the buyer would not pay. It was brought to our attention prior to the seller being paid, which is a lie because it shows right here the seller paid 2 days after the auction on Monday, 6/16. That seller paid, and I got the remainder of what he paid. He paid $5,100. I got $47.94. And so he says the transaction cannot be rescinded if the deal is not complete. The seller can keep the vehicle, or we can sell it at a different time. You paid and took possession, and then chose by your own choice to resell them under a contract. Confusing, I know, but that's how it works. We need to get these vehicles sold so that we can move on. We are not perfect, and we could have done it better, but that does not hold us liable for refunding any money. We have to take it back or resell it. We have to take it back or resell it process. Please do not keep explaining your points. Well, see, he says once the seller is paid, the deal is complete. Well, I got paid. I was consignor 1311 on lot 630. I got paid $4,794 on 6/16. I didn't get a call back from them until the next Monday. So Monday the 16th is when the seller paid, and I got a call from them the following Monday, 7 days later, saying that the seller wanted a refund, and they gave it to him. On their seller agreement, they say that if there's a dispute, that they will provide arbitration. They didn't provide arbitration. They didn't even call me to ask me. They just called to inform me that they gave the customer a refund after I had been paid. So if this is true, then he broke his own rules. And not only that, but he broke the seller agreement that I signed with them, saying that there would be arbitration if there's a dispute. Well, there was no arbitration. And I'm going to show you here. Come a little bit later, he threatens me. I said, if you're going to ignore me, hold my $10,000 and my titles, then my family will be at every public auction on the sidewalk protesting your company for what you have done to us. Believe it. And he says, It says, I want the same buyer protections that the other buyers got. I don't owe you anything. You have $10,000 of mine and my titles. I will be down there to protest this weekend. I told him how the cars are his, that I don't even have the titles. I've never taken possession of them, like the possession of the titles. I never got them in my name. I never registered the cars. Okay, and this is what he says right here. After I told him that I was going to hang the sign, I was going to run the sign, he says, "You cannot make up your own rules. I will look forward to calling the police and seeing you in court. I can be a vigilante against people like you." So, you know, if you know what the term vigilante means, it usually entails violence and threats, basically, and he's threatening to be a vigilante on me. Well, that's where the conversation really ends for me. I have a bill of sale paid in full. I have paid them over $10,000 for these two cars that I have. I have an old Dodge Lindy motorhome, 1981. I have this 2001 Chevy Tahoe that I paid roughly $7,500 for. Well, let's see how much exactly I paid, because he keeps saying that I get my details wrong. Well, I haven't really put a lot of thought into this. I thought they would just be compliant and give me a refund like they gave the last buyer. But they didn't give me a refund like they gave the last buyer. They gave him preferential treatment, but they did not give me preferential treatment. See, that's what I paid for those vehicles, and they have almost $10,000 of mine and my titles. I don't have anything. I don't own anything. They have my money and my titles. Oh, I don't know if that's going to work or not. Anyway, my money and my titles, and I'm not happy with it, so I'm going to continue to protest. Even if he's going to threaten me with vigilantism. If he's going to threaten me, that's just going to make me twice as aggravated. So I'll be down there twice as much, protesting, whatever.